Hello YouTube, Bill Warner here. Welcome to my shop. I haven't been doing a whole lot of videos lately. I've actually been getting ready for another pretty major hobby of mine, which is the Estrella War. It's a medieval reenactment, week-long event, mostly camping, partying, that kind of stuff. During the day though, we all armor up in medieval style armor and proceed to beat the crap out of each other with sticks like this. They're actually rattan, and shields like that, wearing full 12 to 14 gauge steel body armor. It's good fun, lots of exercise. Gives you the chance to go out, just sort of beat the crap out of your buddy, and then go have a beer with him afterwards. It really helps take out any of the pent-up aggression that you might have, or in my case, because I'm about as good at it as I am at machining, I just go out and get beat up. But it's fun anyway. On that note, I did want to do a little bit of a quick shop update. I've had a few new acquisitions.
Good. New acquisitions.
Nothing real major. I did win a bid on eBay for 10 Armstrong high-speed steel cutoff bars. I wasn't sure what they were or if they were going to be any good or not, but they showed up, and I put one in the lathe, and I cut off a chunk of aluminum, and I'll take you over there to have a look at it. So this is the cutoff tool. This is the stick out that I had on it, which is quite a bit. It was about 1.5 inches. This was the piece I was cutting off. It's just under 3 inches. I think it was 3 inches originally, and I turned it down. This chunk was a chunk that I used in one of my oldest videos, my Turner's Cube video. I'd actually chunked off a piece of this, made it into a cube, and then turned it into a Turner's Cube. So yeah, I got about 1.5 inches of stick out, and it cut through this beautifully. This came off. It's got a little bit of ring to it, but the surface of it's almost good enough to just call it done. And as somebody that has always had issues cutting stuff off with, I think a lot of the amateur machinists, this was one of the first times that I've been able to part something off, especially with that much stick out, and no chatter at all, and perfect finish afterwards. So pretty excited about that. So Facebook Marketplace find that I did, this was actually kind of a surprise. I was going to pick up a old multimeter that I'd seen on Facebook Marketplace for $10, and talking to the guy a little bit, he was apparently he did rocket control systems for many years, and then later on repaired them. So he had a full electronics shop in his backyard. It was interesting, but he was elderly and retiring and unloading a bunch of stuff. And I mentioned I was building out a machine shop and practicing machining, and he said, "Hey, I got something you might like," and he showed me this little Palmgren vise, and gave it to me for, I think it was $35, and I couldn't pass that up. So I got me a little 4-inch Palmgren vise. It is missing the swivel base, but otherwise, I could probably pick one of those up for $100 and still have a pretty good deal. I think they were new, $100. If I can find a used one for less, I still have a good deal on a really nice little vise that I think will help complement whenever I'm doing setups and I have something set up in this vise and I go, oh, I gotta machine this other thing, I can leave that. I can set this guy up, however's needed, maybe even have it mounted permanently at a 45. So when I know I have to mill something off at a 45, it's already ready to go. Or whatever. It just it'll give me some good options. Kind of excited about that. Even though it's already kind of a mess again, I rearranged my bench here a little bit. So I moved, this toolbox used to be here and that toolbox used to be over here. And I kind of swapped them out. So now the Kennedy is actually holding all my machinist tools for the surface plate and all that kind of stuff. So I have, that kind of separated. And then now this toolbox is all of my electronics works. Soldering, wire strippers, all that kind of stuff. And this is an old antique multimeter that I picked up from the same guy that had the vise. Nothing special other than I thought it looked really cool. I mean, I've got a multimeter, a decent one that I use all the time, but I just thought it would look cool and I wanted to put it in the corner. And it plugs in, no batteries or anything, and it works, so I can use it as needed. So I picked up a new contactor for the phase converter, and this is another voltage and amp meter, also for the phase converter. Oops. So this is the one I was planning to put on the inlet so I can see what the amps are during startup and idle of the phase converter, so I'll know how much power it's using. So it'll either make me worry more or less about just leaving it on while I'm working in the shop. So this I picked up as well. It's just a voltage sensing relay. And my plan for it is to put it in there so that it's just an on-off start-stop. So the plan for this will be wiring this into the generated ghost leg as a voltage sensing relay and having it control the contactor that runs the start capacitors. So once that third leg gets enough power to trip this relay, that'll cut out the start capacitors. I'll have a different contactor than the one that I used before that'll be normally on contactor, and once this picks up power, it'll trip that to off. Another little eBay score that I came up, I was looking for new chucks, mainly for the lathe, with the 4 Morse taper, and I found these two separate auctions, but they're the 18N, the big 3/4 inch capacity Jacobs chucks. Both of them were damaged. One of them, I think it was this, actually it was originally this one, somebody had welded the tang into it. I think it was on eBay for like $30. The other one actually had a broken jaw. One of the jaws had about 1/4 inch of the end of it broken off. So I saw that and I was like, well, I'll pick up both of those. I'm sure I could salvage enough parts out of them and make at least one good one. So I pulled one of the jaws out of the good one and put it into the broken one. This is the one that was broken. Pulled it all apart and re-greased it, put the bearings back in, put it all back together, and it works great. I use it in the lathe now as one of my primary ones. The one with then I had the extra broken jaw. I put it back together in this one, but I was having a hard time identifying the number 1, 2, and 3 jaw. Normally you can just kind of look at the curl to it. I checked their website. Jacobs has a little instructions on when you're doing the rebuild, which jaw is 1, 2, and 3, and it has to do with where the teeth are on it. But 2 of them looked identical, and one of them was different. And I knew this one had 1, 2, and 3 in it. It was obvious, but the other one wasn't. So I don't know if maybe somebody had already swapped out a jaw in it, and I might have 2, I think it was 2s that looked identical. But the jaws don't close exactly right. So right now I had it pulled back apart. I was going to swap them around. And that was a project I probably should have turned into a video, but I didn't realize how involved I was going to get into it when I was doing it. But it, actually I ended up, cutting the weld off on the lathe. I just put the whole chuck in the lathe backwards and cut that weld out. And this is basically what's left of it. I put it all back into here just for something to hold on to it with. Pressed that Jacobs taper out. I didn't have the little keys that you're supposed to use, like Mr. Pete had done the video on. So what I ended up doing, the first one at least, I wasn't expecting to salvage it, so I drilled the hole through the middle and then ran a 1/2-inch bolt through it and popped that out, which that was kind of exciting. That's takes a lot of pressure. That Jacobs taper can hold a lot, and I had it in my press, in the hydraulic press, and I was getting a little bit nervous, so I ended up putting a shield around it and everything, and popped that thing out. Man, it came out like a gunshot. Something I kind of missed. There are some other videos on YouTube if you want to look around. Just popping that Jacobs taper out. It's doing it in a press is pretty exciting. Well, exciting to a machinist. I'm guessing it's probably pretty boring to most other people. One of the last things I did pick up, this guy has been selling on eBay for a while now. I picked this guy up. It's all the different tap sizes. It's got 2 rows for taps, so you can use your bottoming taps and your regular taps, and then it's got a row for your tap drills, and they're all labeled too, what they should be. Number 21, number 3, IQ, 2564, all the way across. And then the taps are all labeled across the front too, for all the fine threads and then all the coarse threads. Overall, it's definitely useful, pretty nice. It's nice having everything laid out. The plastic, it's just some expanded polystyrene, I think, and then it's just CNC milled out. So it's a fairly simple process, but I think it's going to be very useful. The one that I got here is actually designed to be screwed to a wall, so I might do that. And it came with this one and a metric one. I don't have very many metric taps though, so I wasn't able to fill it out. And it wasn't very complete either. So most of the metric taps I did have didn't have spots in this one. I know it's been a couple of weeks since I did an update, so it's been relatively slow. Like I said, I've been getting ready for war. That's a pretty big event coming up here at the end of February. It'll be down in Santan. And normally we get between 5,000 and 7,000 people out in the camp area, and anywhere from 300 to 1,000 people on the battlefield, which is a lot of fun, getting 2 rows of people dressed in medieval armor running at each other and just slamming into each other really hard. If you check up here, it's a link to some of the past events that have been done, and a lot of fun that we've had from there. You can also check, I've got a friend of mine, actually 2 friends of mine, are fighters in the American Combat League, and they're doing a show right now on the History Channel called Night Fights. If you watch it, you'll be able to identify one friend of mine. He won the 2nd episode, so he's going on to the championship. And my other friend, I guess his is, I think, the first Wednesday in March. So if you look Wednesday nights on the History Channel, there's a show called Night Fights. You can also watch it online. Go to thehistorychannel.com and check it out there. If you want some quick action, quick similar action, check this YouTube channel. It's a friend of mine. Same guy said his episode will be sometime in March. Quite a few of his favorite hits. Hard hits that he's had over the years. Check it out. It's a lot of fun.